Hello, everyone, and welcome to P1 Broadcasting. It's our special presentation of the Indy Open Top Split Monday night, and we have got a treat for you. It's Murph, it's Jacob Collins, and we are deep in the heart of Texas. What do they say? The stars at night are big and bright, Jacob? The stars are all here.
Something like that.
The stars are definitely here. We've got Malechka, we've got Blocker, we've got Brophy, we've got Phil Kraus, we've got Jesper Orman, Clindy, Seb Alexander, Ty Keela, Nick Sudik, defending champ Rashad Craig, Marco Brazil is here, among others. This is going to be a ton of fun, Jacob.
Nice even keel day here in Texas.
Yes, it is. Right now, we do have qualifying happening on the track. We're gonna get the board up for our fans at home. There we go. Right now, the Cheese Man, Casey Povolonis. He was on the pole. He was quickest. Seb Alexander is gonna pip him 217.042 miles an hour. Just to kind of let everybody know, this track, opened in 1997, has a long and deep and storied IndyCar history. It is one of those situations, though, where IndyCar no longer comes here. Much to my chagrin. Have you been here, Jacob? If you've not been, it is a sight to behold. We came here in 2006. It is a sight to behold, the racing at this place. And this track was redone with the oblong ends, the wide and shallow bank turns 1 and 2, the steeply banked high-speed turns 3 and 4. This track was redone basically with IndyCar in mind, Jacob. And it's very sad to me that they don't race here anymore.
Yeah, it was definitely a standout track when they still had it on the schedule, especially post-IRL era, where it was probably the last 1.5 mile to make it out.
It was, and you're gonna see something tonight on P1 that you may not have seen in a really long time. When they get down to that wide end of the track, Jacob, the number of grooves are unlimited. Speaking of unlimited grooves, that is kind of the slogan of the track, no limits. And we're ready for a starting grid. There's the pace car on the pole. It's going to be Robert Malechka III. Malechka, 218.336 miles an hour. Nick Sudik will start alongside. Marco Brazil, Caleb Brashear.
I'm talking in chat.
We're gonna break the wall real quick because Jacob, my voice chat was on, and I don't think the fans at home really want to hear that. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but we're not gonna play it. Marco Brazil, Caleb Brashear, the IndyCar champ from the Sim Gaming Expo, is going to start outside row 2. Matt Hollybaugh, Seb Alexander, 5th and 6th. Casey Povolonis, the Cheese Man, he'll have Jason Brophy alongside in 8th. Kyle Clinworth and Rashad Craig are going to go from 9th and 10th, Jacob. In 11th, Ty Keela. J.W. Miller is going to start 12th. Riley Thompson, Robin Glakis, 13th and 14th. Uncle Rob looking for a good run tonight on the oval. David Hinger, low I rating in the field. He's going to start 15th. Logan Edwards, 16th in the second Luke Mansky car. Adam Blocker, Phil Kraus, Jesper Orman, Christian McCrelly, Ella Spice, and Will Weiser did not set times. And I don't know, Jacob. I know a lot of these guys like to do that. I don't know that I would. I don't know that I would want to go 125 laps here at Texas without the benefit of starting up front.
Well, that's also kind of the risky run just about anywhere. I think this track, especially when the cars start going the wrong direction, the track narrows up really, really quick. You kind of mentioned that there's a lot of grooves on this track, but when the cars are all pointing the wrong way, those grooves disappear very, very quickly.
Yeah, they do. We are rolling away from the grid, Jacob. Here they come out onto this field. This is going to be so much fun. I've been waiting on this for a while, my man. This is of all the races For me to miss to broadcast, this is really the only one that I looked at the schedule and said, doggone it, I wish I could be in the car for this. You have any designs on running this, Jacob?
Texas specifically, probably not. It's no secret that I've made my bread and butter the short tracks, especially since coming over to the IndyCar.
So we are ready to go. 125 laps of IndyCar Open setup action here at the Texas Motor Speedway. The pace car is getting ready to come on off. Robert Malechka, Nick Sudik have the front row. Pace car is away. Barney's got the green flag in the air. It's a slow start, but away we go. 125 laps. Indy Open at Texas is on.
It didn't seem like a lot of people were super keen to stay too wide as we see the bulk of the top 10 go single file through 1 and 2.
Yes, they are. Robert Malechka leads away from Sudik, Marco Brazil, and Caleb Brashear. Brashear already offsetting high, and he's got trouble coming in the form of Matt Hollybaugh to his inside. There they go. They fan out 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide. You're going to see all sorts of different lines through that corner. And there's a man that I'm looking at right there, Seb Alexander. Seb Alexander, Jesper Orman, they were dominant cars in the Indy Elite Series race here, which is an open league. They were the dominant cars here until a late race caution. I know that the Indy Alliance cars, along with the Rogue Racing cars, the Alliance, as it were, Satellite Racing involved in that, those guys have really tuned and massaged on this car, and I can tell you from personal experience, it is a rocket ship. And if they made it better, the rest of the field might be in trouble here. Seb Alexander, he's already up to 4th from that 6th starting spot, and he's looking high on Nick Sudik here as they go down the back.
I want to talk about big movers. Adam Blocker not setting a qualifying time, already up to 9th.
There's Blocker. He has just gone past Jason Brophy and Rashad Craig. So there's Adam. As he runs to the bottom, he's underneath the cheese man, Casey Povolonis. He's already there. But Seb Alexander, he's made it past Nick Sudik. He's going to make a bid on Marco Brazil, going through 3 and 4. Brazil cuts low in front of the Indy Alliance machine.
A bit of a late move from Brazil. They're about partway through the corner. We'll see him fade to the high side on Malechka. We'll see if he opts to do anything here.
They are indeed, and you see the different lines. Brazil at the top, Malechka on the bottom. Seb Alexander, he'll split the difference. Find the clean air in the middle, and you can see it in the background. These guys are fanning out 3, 4 wide through that first corner, trying to find the clean air. Alexander is going to persist, though. Now he's looking to the high side of Marco Brazil. Maybe make it 3 wide. No. Brazil to the top, Malechka to the bottom. Alexander will once again draw that middle.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of if Seb gets to the front. It's going to be when, as long as he can make it through kind of the wall that has been built between Brazil and Malechka at the front here.
You're riding on board Seb Alexander. He gets underneath Marco Brazil. He'll go to second. Seb Alexander is going to flash to the top of Robert Malechka. He wants this lead going into turn number 1. Alexander to the high side.
Having to take that long way around is going to make it much more difficult, as he's going to kind of lose a bit of momentum initially, but gain it, as you see, down the back straightaway heading into 3 and 4.
The top here can be extremely effective, Jacob, at making passes. It can be very, very, very quick in the short term, but you got to be careful, because you run up there for too long, you will absolutely demolish the right front, and the car will become extremely understeery, and then it will want to snap coming off of turn number 2. So you got to be careful, but it's preferable for Seb to be there instead of running directly in the draft of Robert Malechka III. Marco Brazil goes to the inside as we head down to turn number 1. Seb to the high side one more time. Now, to be fair, Jacob, it is an advantage for Alexander to be on the high side in the clean air as opposed to on the bottom directly in the wake of Robert Malechka. You don't want to be directly behind somebody.
That certainly continues to remain to be the case as we see now Brazil under attack from Sudik.
And that's kind of a calling card of MAB. When you see him on the course, you know that car is going to be a rocking in a straight line. You know it's going to be very, very fast by itself. MAB sometimes, though, he forgets to add the downforce, and that car can become very ill handling on a long run, and you'll see cars start to stream past him. If he gets the lead, he's tough to deal with, but in traffic, not so much. As we continue to watch Seb Alexander charge the high side, it looks like he's just up there kind of getting clean air, saving his stuff. You've got Brazil in third. Matt Hollibaugh has made it to fifth behind Sudik, and there is a gap between Nick Sudik and the front three. Caleb Brashear, Casey Povolonis, Logan Edwards. They're back here 6th, 7th, 8th. Adam Blocker has made it to 9th, and our man Phil Kraus following along, the power slide teammate. They are sticking to the bottom of the track. Seb Alexander is going to bid to the bottom. Not quite enough down the backstretch on Robert Malechka.
Yeah, this may be the time where we start seeing Seb being a bit more compliant, wanting to run that lower side to keep that right front tire on that car over the course of this opening stint.
It's all about how you lift into that first corner and how you set up for it. You can save the tires up there. And again, it's preferable to be in clean air as opposed to being where Marco Brazil is. He doesn't have any clean air, and his stuff is really going to be hurting here as he looks to the outside of Seb Alexander. But that doesn't really worry Seb as much. And you see him, he goes all the way to the bottom, and that's going to open the door. He loses the momentum off the corner. That's going to open the door for Brazil on the bottom. Malechka fades up to the top to see if he can't give Alexander the draft. But MAB, he's going to run his car right into second spot. Meanwhile, we've got some battles toward the back end of the top 10, Jacob. Matt Hollibaugh has fallen into the clutches of Jason Brophy, Phil Kraus, and now Jesper Orman. And if there was a guy who looks forward to coming to Texas, it's the man in the blue and gold, Jesper Orman.
Yeah, another one of those cars that opted not to take it. Time's up 7 spots so far. You got to wonder if he's just kind of playing the long game here, working with these power slide cars through the field to try to get near the front towards the end of this stint to maybe leapfrog some people through the pit cycle.
And so having experience driving the exact car that Jesper is on, or that Jesper is driving, I can tell you from experience, it might not be the fastest thing over 1 lap or even 5. Jesper's strength is going to come lap 25 on in the run. You see behind him Riley Thompson. That's a name that we have not seen yet this season. Riley Thompson in the 17 red, black, and white machine for TDR. Behind them, you've got J.W. Miller. He is the 20 machine, and he is in that Dan Gurney tribute livery. That is so timeless, isn't it, Jacob? The Castrol Eagle looks good on any car. But he's right behind Jesper, and then Rashad Craig has faded to 13th. He started in the top 10, but Rashad is kind of taking it easy here at the beginning. He is 15th. You see Clindy, Will Weiser. He is the Luke Mansky Racing Esports. What was it? He called him the road course troll. But he came out of his hole to run tonight. Use the Luke Mansky words, not mine. And there's Will running along in 17th. You've got Ty Keela in 18th. Uncle Robin Glakis is 19th. There he is. He's running along in front of Ella Spice, David Hinger, and Christian McCrelly. And that is the 22 cars in the field. Meanwhile, we've got a stack up at the front. Adam Blocker, by the way, has moved into 5th. And they are all over each other at the front of this field, Jacob.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that as these tires are starting to wear, the gaps between these cars is getting a bit tighter and tighter, especially as some of these cars towards the back of the field make their way to the front. That kind of overall pace gap you're going to see start to get smaller between each individual car, so they're going to have to start sorting out where to put these things the closer together they get.
Well, and what happens here is this. So the handling does not go away in turns 3 and 4. It really starts, you're going to start to feel it right there. where Seb Alexander just exited, coming off of turn number 2. That's where you really feel the tires start to scream. Jacob is through there. And here's Seb. He's back under Marco Brazil. I think he'd like us to just stay on board with him the whole time. He's going to dive underneath Robert Malechka, and we may have a lead change here. Malechka fades to the high side. Brazil was up there. Rob might have gone up to give MAB a little bit of the dirty air. And Seb Alexander is going to go to the lead in the Indian Alliance machine from Power Slide, and then Marco Brazil is in third. Did not talk about the weather before the race, Jacob. You could not have ordered a more picturesque day for a motor race in Texas. 78 in the air, 104 on the track, brother.
Yeah, a nice even keel day in Texas. This is going to be pretty much a nice day in the neck of the woods.
It most certainly will. Now, whoever wins this race does need to apply to Jacob Collins. He has a 10-gallon hat ready for whomever is the victor today at Texas. So we're going to hold him to that, Jacob. You're going to owe somebody a 10-gallon hat.
As long as it's the big foam one, I think I could source one of those pretty easily.
What was that Burt Reynolds in Celebrity Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live that wore the giant foam 10-gallon hat?
That sounds like something Burt would have done.
Well, it wasn't Burt Reynolds. It was Norm Macdonald playing Burt Reynolds. But I digress. You're watching Robert Malechka. He has moved the number 1 to the high side in turns 1 and 2. And I got to believe that's to sort of help an oversteering condition maybe, Jacob. He's moved the line up there so he doesn't snap loose off of 2.
Well, I'm wondering if some of that, too, is just kind of halt cars from getting those big runs down the backstretch as we see Seb kind of make his move to the bottom down the backstretch here. You got to imagine maybe that higher lane's preventing people from maybe getting that run to hold even behind him. As we see, maybe he's also trying to work with one of these cars near the front to try to pull away, right? We've seen that kind of work at a number of tracks of this scale, where if you get a couple cars that are willing to work together at the front, they can start to eke away from the field if the field keeps fighting behind them.
You can. Whoa, trouble! Trouble, that's Jason Brophy. He's going to take out Marco Brazil. We're going to have caution on the speedway. Jason Brophy, big time problem coming off of turn number 2. Brophy hard into the wall. Caution on the speedway. Jason Brophy, and that is turn number 2 at Texas, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks like Marco just faded a little higher than Brophy was expecting. The two get together, and then they just could never get off of each other the entire back straightaway until they both hit the wall.
They could not. Look like a little bit of netcode contact there, too. I'm sure Jason Brophy not happy, but that's what happens here at Texas, Jacob, is you get coming off of turn number 2. Those lines all kind of funnel right to that point, and you can see it, how drastically different the Power Slide car on the top is to Marco Brazil on the bottom, but they're going to meet right here. And if Adam Blocker didn't get a piece of that, it's going to be a miracle for Adam. That car was absolutely smack in the middle of that. Let's get a good look at Adam Blocker here as he tries to navigate the mess. This is what he sees. He's on the bottom, and you'll see Marco Brazil start toward the top. There's the contact. You'll see the team car slide, and Adam Blocker just misses the car, Jason Brophy. So we're going to go back live here. Blocker is going to be the lucky man in Texas tonight. Everybody is on pit lane. Seb Alexander wins the race off of pit road as they stream away.
Not sure this puts them in a position to cut out a stop, however. Would that be the case, Mark?
You know, that would be. You can comfortably go 45 laps here. 50, I've seen cars do 50, 51, 52. Now, the tires aren't going to like it if you go that far, but you can go over 50 laps on a tank full of gas. And so that would be one of what would be a two-stop race for these competitors. I believe they can make it home on one more, Jacob.
That would make sense to me.
There you go, taking a look at it from the TV tower. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. We do have a nice crowd on hand tonight for the Indy Open Series at Texas. Seb Alexander, your leader. Robert Malechka, Adam Blocker, Nick Sudik, Caleb Brashear are your top five. The Cheese Man, Casey Povolonis, then Jesper Orman, Logan Edwards, J.W. Miller, and Phil Krause will round out your top 10. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell so that you can subscribe to P1 and be notified of all future iRacing events here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. It is a triple header tonight, Jacob. It's not just the Indy Open. Immediately after this, 9:05, so probably about the same time our race is ending, Mike Rigney in the Onyx Racing League, they're going to go in Lotus 79s from Watkins Glen without the chicane, baby. I like that. No chicanes, Jacob. No chicanes. None.
Well, yeah, that's just the track as it was intended.
Get the chicanes out of here, Mike says. No chicanes. And so that's what they're gonna have that at 9:05. And then, Jacob, you're going to have the Indy Next top split from Long Beach, and that goes off at what, 10?
I think it's 9 even, so just a little before the Onyx race.
Ah, there you go.
Actually, no, it'd be 10 Eastern. My bad. I forget what time zone we're working in these days.
That's okay. The time does not fall back until for another couple of weeks. The green flag is out. Seb Alexander grabs the loud pedal. And he is off. Everybody's streaming through turns 1 and 2. And just like that, everybody's single file. Everybody wants that bottom, Jacob.
Yeah, they want that bottom, and they want it now. As we see a number of cars try to inch their way towards the bottom there. Stringed out pretty good, all things considered.
Yes, they are. There we go from the TV tower. You're looking at the leaders, Seb Alexander, Robert Malechka, Adam Blocker, Nick Sudik, 1, 2, 3, 4 as they head out down the backstretch. They've got 7/10 of a second. Over Caleb Brashear, who's fallen into the clutches of the Cheese Man, Casey Povolonis. And there they are, Luke Mansky Racing Esports for Brashear. The Votive Racing League team of Casey Povolonis. And then lurking right behind him, you're going to see the blue and gold of Jesper Orman sneaking into the picture. P7 for Jesper. He's disposed of Logan Edwards. The Swede is coming, Jacob.
It's a slow march, but that march is going to get to the right place at the right time. I have a feeling.
There he is. We're going to get on board with Jesper. Very much a wizard here at Texas. But there he is, 220 miles an hour off of turn number 4. Coming down the front straight, Jesper's going to touch 225 as he heads into turn 1. And then you get all the way down to 207, 208 on that bottom. But look at how good that Rogue Racing machine handles on the bottom in traffic. You don't
seems to stay exactly where he wants to put it.
Yeah, you don't see, and that's kind of the difference in Jesper as opposed to some other drivers here. You will not see that car fade off the bottom, and it handles extremely well in traffic. He's got Alliance member Seb Alexander up leading this train from Robert Malechka. Adam Blocker is third, Nick Sudik fourth, Caleb Brashear is fifth. But we are watching the march of Jesper Orman as he has come from the, 20th starting spot, Jacob? 19th.
I think I had him 19th on the pylon.
Yeah, I had him 19th on the pylon. So Jesper Orman, he's made up 12 spots, and he's looking at the Cheese Man, Casey Povolonis, headed for turns 3 and 4. He backs out of that move. We'll keep an eye on Jesper. We do want to get back to the lead because Adam Blocker, Robert Malechka, they are now all over Seb Alexander in the black and bronze in the Alliance machine out there in front.
And how long do you think they're content just kind of sitting behind him?
You know, given where we're at, we're looking at a 95 lap run, which is right on the edge of full juice. I got to think that Malechka, Blocker, these guys, they might be content to let Seb lead it. Knowing, one, he's got a really fast car, but also understanding that they can sit back there and save a bit of fuel, maybe make that final stop a little bit shorter. The tires are going to be screaming. We're 11 laps into this run. The tires are going to be screaming, Jacob, at about lap 25. So it's going to take another 10, 15 laps as Povolonis takes it to the high side of Caleb Brashear. Povolonis looking for the top 5.
Well, you know what they say. If you're going to follow the leader, you will follow the leader. And Povolonis going to the high side is definitely not doing that.
No, he's not. And what that's also doing, though, and you see Brashear and Sudik, they try to offset. Povolonis will drill the bottom. He's going to try to go underneath Caleb Brashear now. And that's kind of what you see at Texas. Also, do note, Robert Malechka, the king, just about had a moment coming off of turn 2.
It is kind of the noteworthy thing about turn 2 at Texas, right? It kind of reminds me a bit of like an Iowa where the wall comes at you pretty quick on that corner if you're not prepared to, or you put a little bit too much wheel into it. The car just wants to keep sliding and sliding and sliding, and before you know it, you're in that fence.
It really is like a funnel coming off of turn number 2 here. Whether you run the bottom or the top, you're going to meet at the exit of turn number 2 right at the wall. Whatever line you have is going to meet right there, and it can result in some pretty wild stuff coming off that corner. Meanwhile, we've got to continue to follow it, because Casey Povolonis, that man is driving hard in that 13 machine behind Caleb Brashear. He continues to try to make any kind of a move he can stick, Jacob. To the bottom one more time.
Hey, he's putting his car exactly where he hopes he can make something of it, and it doesn't seem like he's able to get those runs off of turn 2 until right about here as we get into 3 and 4. He starts reeling back Brashear ahead.
He does indeed. The cheese man, there he is. He's following Caleb Brashear. Brashear, of course, won a set of huge races in Chicago at the Sim Gaming Expo. That guy cleaned our clocks, Jacob. He absolutely dusted a stacked field at that thing. Took home a pretty cool looking wheel too. I wonder if he's been able to use it yet. Do we know if he's had the...
I don't know. Has the GoFundMe someone was supposed to start reached its funding goal? Because I don't know if he's been able to do that yet.
Well, he said he was. So the winner at SGE got a Gomez Sim Industries INDYCAR style steering wheel with the built-in screen. Just a beautiful piece of work. And Caleb has what, a G923?
A G920, one of the Logitech wheels.
Yeah, so he's on a Logitech wheel. So we were going to take up a collection for him so he could get a SemiCube base so he could use his new wheel. But there are solutions for him to connect that to the Logi base, and so I wonder if he's been able to do that, Jacob.
Now that's something you'd love to see, right?
It is, man. It reminds me of the old Thrustmaster bases, and we were putting like what were then high dollar Fanatec wheels on those things back in the day. Adam Blocker drops underneath Nick Sudik trying to make a bid for the 3rd spot. Sudik is going to hold off the Dark Knight, though. Adam Blocker is going to be 4th, and he has fallen into the clutches of Caleb Brashear now.
You know what I am noticing that's a bit different on this stint compared to the first one is we're not seeing a ton of cars right behind the leader able to really do anything. You know, we've got Malechka about a quarter of a second back from Alexander, and then, another 0.2 quarter of a second back to Sudik. It's stayed a bit more strung out immediately at the front here. You got to wonder if that's just strictly fuel saving or if there's more to it than that.
You know, I got to think that a lot of it is fuel saving. The track temp at 105, so the conditions here are still very much ideal. When the track takes rubber, all it does is expand the groove through turns 1 and 2. And so the lines there just become much more unlimited. I got to feel like Rob might be saving a little bit of fuel. But you also have to understand that Texas, much like Pocono, Jacob, is a compromise. It's a compromise in setup. And so you can make the car really good through turns 1 and 2, and it'll be a dog through 3 and 4 and vice versa. And so maybe the power slide setup just isn't conducive to the kinds of speeds that Alexander and that Indy Alliance machine are capable of running. Well, that remains to be seen, of course. But you also do have the fuel saving part of it. Although, if Rob's going to fuel save and he's going to make that work, he can't lose a tenth a lap like he did the last time by.
Yeah, that gap noticeably increased, although it's possible that they may be cooking something that's outside of our purview, if you will, with some of these cars a bit deeper into the field. We've still got Blocker running inside the top 5, and there's probably another couple cars throughout this field that might be willing to kind of work together over the course of the rest of this race to try to make it back to the front.
Well, that's very true. Let's see what Rob's got cooking here. We are looking out the left eyeball of the king, Robert Malechka, and he must be watching the broadcast because Rob heard us say he was a tenth slower. He drafts right up on the back of Seb Alexander that time by. So that tells me that it is a little bit of fuel savings, saving there, Jacob.
Well, it's that, or he wants to look cooler by gaining 0.2 a lap.
I don't think Robert Malechka needs to gain 2/10 over a lap to look cool, but be that as it may, Seb Alexander is your leader. The king, Robert Malechka, second. Nick Sudik is a fine third. Adam Blocker, fourth. Caleb Brashear is fifth. Jesper Orman has pulled past Casey Povolonis and moved into the sixth spot.
Well, Rob does all the cool looking with his helmet. That Dr. Eggman design, it just puts on the instant intimidate button as soon as you get anywhere near it.
What was the button to intimidate in the old EA Sports game? Adam Blocker just moved past Nick Sudik, by the way. So there's Blocker. We were kind of watching Brashear as he goes past Nick Sudik, and then that's going to open the door for Jesper Orman to maybe make a move. And so with 27 laps in the run, the cream is starting to come to the top, Jacob. Look at Jesper go all the way to the high side on Sudik. Sudik is going to get a huge run on Brashear. Orman's going to have a big run on both of them. They're going to go 3 wide here through turn 3, I think. Nope, Jesper backs out of it. He's going to follow Sudik. So Sudik will tow Jesper Orman past Caleb Brashear. And now Orman is going to dive to the bottom of Sudik going through turns 1 and 2. That's where Jesper wants to be here, is on that bottom, Jacob. Just keep rolling the bottom. Save those tires. We are now going to get 30 laps into this run. The window will open at lap 75 to make it to the end. And so we are in good shape to get there. No fuel issues, I wouldn't think. Orman goes to the high side of Sudik, and Jesper Orman is going to make it to the 4th spot. So it is Indy Alliance, Power Slide, and Rogue Racing here in the top 4. The Rogue Racing and Indy Alliance cars are what do we call them? Quasi teammates? Alliance members? How do we term that, Jacob?
It's like the thought of Penske and AJ Foyt, right? They got a deal that everybody knows is going on.
Whoa, Brashear spins hard in the wall. Caleb Brashear hard in the inside retaining wall. He will Alt F4. We will not go caution, but Caleb Brashear has fallen victim to turn number 2, Jacob.
Car got light, car go to wall. That about sums that one up.
Yeah, just once you hurt that right rear, it is almost impossible to control that machine. And if you don't have your ducks in a row on old tires here, this is kind of what's going to happen. He starts sliding up the hill. He gets the dirty air from Sudik in front of him. That exacerbates the understeer. And when you get off that corner, around she goes. Boom. Tough break for Caleb Brashear. Meanwhile, we're going to get back to
racy at the front.
Yeah, it's getting racy at the front. Jesper Orman has just pulled around Robert Malechka the third. Move Orman the third. Adam Blocker is second. Blocker is challenging Seb Alexander for the lead as they go around. I believe that is, what, David Hinger? And Blocker has to check up for Hinger.
Yeah, we've got Hanger in the midst of these two, kind of being used as almost a bit of a pick at this point, just given where his car is. We'll see if Blocker's able to make something of him coming into 1 and 2. And it's Jesper Orman's entered the picture here.
He has. Now, Hinger stopped. That is why David Hinger is where he is. He stopped and took tires 2 laps ago. So he is not in the window to make it on that stop. He's going to have to come back to pit road one more time. But hey, crazier things have happened. If this thing cycles through and gets a caution, David Hinger might wind up looking like a genius. Seb Alexander goes to the high side. He's going to have Adam Blocker to the tall side of him. They fan out 3 wide into turn 1.
Blocker looking to the inside.
Yes, he is. Adam Blocker to the inside. He's got David Hinger directly in front of him. That's going to be the pass for the lead. Seb Alexander going to be relegated to second, but Seb is going to stick it way on the tall side of Hinger going through 1 and 2.
That's a high-risk play, right? You've got that lap car in between you that's on fresher
Whoa,
tires.
Adam Blocker with the big block on the lapper Hinger.
Yeah, it's getting really dicey with this car up here because he's got fresher tires. It's probably a little bit faster outright. It's just where he's positioning his car that Alexander and Blocker and Orman here are going to have to try to mix it cleanly around him with that pace differential in play.
Yes, they are. You see Seb Alexander, and I think Seb is going to try to duck it to the bottom here of Hinger, and finally Alexander is going to make it. David Hinger. Now Adam Blocker will pull up behind Seb Alexander. Jesper Orman is going to follow them through, so the front 3 appear to be clear of David Hinger. Lap 69 of 125 here at Texas. If you don't like this, Jacob, I don't know what to tell you, brother.
And that's the unique thing of oval racing, too, right? We don't tend to see this play as much of a factor on road courses. You know, we do every once in a while where just the timing of where a lap car shows up plays a difference. But just given how tires work on ovals, right, you can have that huge pace disparity between fresh tires and old tires and have a car towards the back half of the lead lap, like a Hanger, be able to hang tough with the leaders as we see Blocker fade to the high side here on Alexander down the backstretch.
You can indeed. Ellis Spice just came off a pit lane. It is worth noting that very quietly and very, very smoothly, these 2 cars, Phil Kraus and Kyle Clinworth, have been inching their way toward the front. Phil is now 6th, Clindy is 7th, moved Povolonis back to 8th, and Will Weiser has moved into 9th around Rashad Craig. Rashad Craig splitting the Luke Mansky cars, and now Craig is going to look to the inside of Weiser, so promote Rashad Craig up to 9th. So those 3 have been extremely quiet, but very effective. We're going to go back to the front because it is now a 4-way fight for the lead. The king, Robert Malechka, has inched his way back into the discussion.
Well, the thing is these front 3 have made it past Hanger, but Hanger hasn't fallen off these cars at this point, so he's still technically in between some of these guys at the front of the field.
He is. He's on 10-lap old tires now. This will come to get lap 10 for David Hinger. And so, you know, for Hinger, he wants to stay up here. You know, he wants to stay with the leaders as long as he can. He lost 2 laps making that pit stop, but he could gain both those back. Adam Blocker just about came to grief, and that's going to let Jesper Orman shoot right up the middle. The Swede, Jesper Orman, goes to P1, Blocker back to P2, and now it is Rogue Power Slide in the Alliance Power Slide. "52 laps to go, Jacob. I don't know if you can tell it. I am fighting very hard to stay impartial here. To be complete.
Well, one thing I've noticed now is now that Seb's fallen back to 3rd here, it looked like that last time by he was really struggling trying to work through the traffic ahead of him. I'm wondering if maybe him leading the bulk of this race has kind of got his car where he's got to get back on those tools to try to figure out how to keep his car in contention here.
Yeah, it's a situation where you run completely different tools in traffic as opposed to clean air here at Texas. And if you're not on top of those things and you get shuffled back, you get a whiff of that dirty air and it can almost just suck you around, especially 46 lap old tires like Jesper, Adam, and Seb are on. Robert Malechka certainly in that same boat. Phil Kraus has moved into 5th. Clindy is now 6th. You see him at the top of the picture. So those guys are coming right here at the end of this run, and you wonder now, the window is open for the money stop, Jacob. You wonder how much longer these drivers are going to continue to run here.
Well, that's a gamble in its own right, too, Rick. We saw kind of an earlier yellow show up around the midway point of the opening part of this race. So that could easily shake things up as well. And that can happen partway through the pit cycle, which may completely throw things off from that standpoint as well, as cars may get trapped a lap down through the pit cycle.
You know, they can. And so I got to think, you know, we're going to see mostly everybody stay out as long as they can. Will Weiser has come to the pit lane. Orman almost, it appears as though, he let Adam Blocker through there. So move Blocker back to 2nd, Orman to 3rd. We're coming to get lap 49 now on this stretch. Blocker going back for the lead on Seb Alexander. But Seb is going to get that run off the high side. Blocker is going to have to keep it pinched to the bottom. Alexander is going to move one more time back to the lead on Adam Blocker. And that's dangerous not only for the fact that you know that you're going into that funnel off of turn 2, Jacob, but these guys are going to have to pit here. You don't want to be trapped out of gas on that high line through turns 3 and 4.
Well, it's also just harder to position your car away from cars when you get side by side like that. You know, especially later and later into this run, you're not entirely sure when somebody's going to make that call to come into the pit lane. And the last thing you want to do is have a car trying to pit from multiple lanes out, cutting across essentially the entire track trying to get down there.
That's very, very true. Will Weiser has pulled back onto the racing surface. He lost a lap. All eyes, though, on this man, Seb Alexander, as he circulates the Texas Motor Speedway. 45 laps to go here. It's worth noting Robert Malechka has now fallen into the clutches of Phil Kraus, Clindy, and Casey Povolonis as Kraus will move into 4th spot, and he'll drag Clindy. Orman and Alexander are coming to pit lane. That's going to hand the lead to Adam Blocker. And so the IAR and Rogue machines head for the pit road. As we watch Robert Malechka, he is fading to the back and fading fast. Here comes Rashad Craig to take a position off the King. That is not something you see every day, Jacob.
No, it certainly isn't. And we did see, it looked like there may be a swap for the lead coming through the pit cycle here as Jesper Orman comes out ahead of Alexander. It looked like he got a much, much better entry coming into the pit lane. Almost looked like he sped coming into the pit lane with how much speed he was able to carry relative to Alexander. We'll see how that cycles out here.
There you go. There is Jesper Orman coming off a pit lane, and Seb Alexander almost the full back straightaway behind. What a pit cycle for Jesper Orman. We go back to the front, though. There's Phil Kraus. He is 2nd. Adam Blocker is your leader. Clindy has moved into 4th. Rashad Craig into 5th. Casey Povolonis is now 3rd. And Robert Malechka has had enough 54 laps. He has decided he's going to come to pit lane. Adam Blocker and Phil Kraus, though, staying out. And here's the danger for these guys. Yeah, Adam Blocker, Phil Kraus, you're up a lap. However, Kyle Clinworth, too fast entering pit lane. There's Clindy, and the Clindy with the speeding ticket, and that's going to drop him well down the order. Here's the problem for Adam Blocker. As Sudik, Taikila, Matt Hollybaugh, it is wholesale pit stops. Blocker, Kraus, they're going to go for another, as is Rashad Craig. The problem for these guys, 25.114 that time through for Adam Blocker, 24.805 for Jesper Orman, 24.571 for Seb Alexander. If they don't get a caution here, they're going to be in deep, deep trouble when it comes to pace. Adam Blocker coming to the pit lane. Here comes Phil Kraus. He's going to come to the pit lane. Povolonis, Rashad Craig. And so now the pit stop has cycled through. And Jacob, the eyes are on this man right here, Jesper Orman.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he manages to pull out a gap on the cars he was battling for that lead. You know, we saw Blocker, Alexander to a lesser extent Malechka, fighting for that lead spot. We'll see if he's able to, how good his entry was, if he's able to kind of pull a gap here through the pit cycle.
We'll see. In that IES race, he was able to gap me by half a lap with the pit cycle, and I was running second at the time in the same position that Seb Alexander is. And so Orman is going to go back to the lead. The story is going to be, where is Seb Alexander going to filter out? There he is. He's going to go by Povolonis. He's going to go by Adam Blocker. So Jesper Orman assumes the lead in the pit stop cycle. Phil Kraus is your new second place runner. Seb Alexander is third, and that's where the battle is. Alexander has a host of power slide machinery immediately to his rear.
And at least for now, Orman's out to a 2-second lead over Kraus, with the lap car of Unglakis behind him now. So he's essentially got clear track until he reaches the back of Ellis Spice, about 3 or 4 seconds up the road here.
Indeed, Jacob. You see Robert Malechki. He moves to the high side of Seb Alexander. Adam Blocker is going to go to the bottom, and we might see a little bit of team driving here. The power slide entries go to the bottom, and Robert Malechki going to try to suck Adam Blocker right past Seb Alexander. He'll do so. So it is Jesper Orman, then 3 power slide cars. Seb Alexander, the best of the rest in the IR car, and he's got Casey Povolonis right behind him. We are 35 laps to go here in the Indy Open Monday Night Top Split from Texas. You've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins with you here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. Huge crowd here tonight to watch this one. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell so that you can be subscribed to P1 and take in all of our iRacing broadcasts. It's a triple header tonight, folks. Immediately following this one, probably overlapping the end of our race, we're going to have the Onyx Racing League live with Lotus 79s from Watkins Glen. And Jacob, no chicanes. By the way, Adam Blocker has now caught Jesper Orman. Adam Blocker goes for the lead.
Yeah, we had seen that gap start to close pretty quickly after the pit cycle. You know, it was 2 seconds to start, and then it went to about 1.5 seconds, 1 second, half a second. Now Blocker's to the front.
Yeah, you wonder if they were able to make some sort of an adjustment here on the pit stops that were able to get their cars in the window. As you recall, they were losing a tremendous amount of time on Orman and Alexander at the end of that run, and you wonder if the power slide cars are just better on the short run, the Alliance cars better on the longer one. Maybe we're about to find that story out. This race is going to finish on a full fuel run, Jacob.
Now we've got about another 30 laps to play with, and that's a lot of time for that to kind of sort itself out too, right? It's gonna be probably a couple more laps here if we kind of see the short run car fade away and the long run car start to come out of those cars that are maybe playing that strategy.
You know, Paula Scory just checked in. Big loose from Robert Malechka. Either that or he was intentionally cutting to the inside of Jesper Orman. Malechka down to the bottom. He'll take second place. Orman back to third. So it's power slide, Rogue Alliance, power slide, Rogue Alliance. I don't know. Does Casey Povolonis have any help, or is he on his own here, Jacob?
He's the lone vote of racing team entry, I believe. So that's a one-man band as far as I'm aware. He might have a group of guys in a call with him telling him what to do, but
he's playing the harmonica, the drums, and the piano all at the same time out there, folks. Casey Povolonis runs alone in the 7th spot. And now you get to, and Paul is exactly right, by the way, the fight for the front is absolutely relentless. Rob, these guys want to lead. There is a huge advantage to being the lead car here. You get to save your tires. You get to save your tires, but most importantly, you get to pick your line, Jacob. As you see Phil Kraus, he'll go past Jesper Orman into third, so it is now all power slide in the top 3 for the podium positions. The Alliance cars run 4th and 5th. You've got Fiercely Ford, Nick Sudik in 6th, and then the Cheese Man, Casey Povalonis in 7th, and you've got another Alliance car. That's Rashad Craig in 8th, and he's the green and black machine. That's the defending champion, Jacob.
I think that just goes to show just how stacked this field is, right? It's the guy that won the championship last season. He's running 8th.
There's not a single one of these top 8 right now that are out of this race, though. All it's going to take is one wiggle from one car somewhere in this pack, and we've got a brand new ball game with 26 laps to go. It's Blocker, Malechka, Kraus, your top 3, and where have we heard that before? Orman and Alexander, 4th and 5th. Then Sudik, Povalonis, Craig Weiser, and give a shout out to J.W. Miller, the 20 car, and they're seeing caution on the racetrack. That's Matt Hollybaugh, and that changes absolutely everything, Jacob.
Yeah, I think he fell prey to turn 2 as well. We see Clenworth making by him down the front stretch, and he just gets loose off of 2.
Yeah, he does. The Satellite Racing entry, and that's another one of those Alliance cars, the Satellite Racing entry of Matt Hollybaugh. Going through turns 1 and 2 here at Texas, he gets the whiff of the dirty air, and that car was gone almost as soon as exit happened. He gets to smoking the tires down toward the bottom and into the inside retaining wall he goes. This should give, by the way, Hinger, Anglakis, Spice, and Clenworth a chance to get their laps back, because I would assume with anywhere between 15 and 20 laps on their tires, we're going to see a busy pit lane here, Jacob, with 25 to go.
Yeah, you would think with the way that the tires kind of fall away at this track that there's not going to be a single person that stays out. Now, to be fair, you could take that as a gamble and keep cars trapped a lap down behind you, should they be behind you, right? I know that's not the most polite and or common thing to do, but it is a strategy. You can kind of pin cars a lap down and keep them there if you take that gamble to try to stay out, but I don't think we're going to have any takers on that one. Oh, we do.
Is that Logan Edwards I see back there staying out?
That is Logan Edwards staying out.
That is Logan Edwards staying out, and so Logan Edwards is going to assume the lead here. Adam Blocker on the pit lane. And there you go. You see the Luke Mansky car. Unfortunate for Clindy, he is trapped behind. Logan Edwards, and so he won't get the wave around. Blocker, Malechka, Kraus, Alexander, Sudik, Craig, Povalonis, Weiser. There goes Will Weiser. A terrible stop for Jesper Orman. He's going to come out 10th. Ty Keela, Christian McCrelly, J.W. Miller, all off the pit lane. And that's an interesting move from Logan Edwards. That car, he's going to, so Hinger, Anglakis, and Ella Spice are going to get back on the lead lap. Clindy remains trapped a lap down. You got to wonder, is Logan Edwards, is he thinking, I mean, I guess he's thinking he's going to have a lap car. Well, Clindy would stop here then, right? If Edwards stays out.
Well, I don't know. That's still what I'm trying to figure out. It's possible that maybe Logan was trying to just stay out an extra lap to put the tires on later. No, he stays out still.
No, he's going to try to go from the lead. Clindy, seeing that he can't get his lap back, is going to pull his machine down pit lane, and he'll remain the lone soldier one lap down in 17th spot. Edwards is your leader. He did not pit. 21 laps on the current tires, and this just got really interesting, Jacob. There you see the story on the tire situation. Logan Edwards is your leader. He's been out 21 laps. His Firestones are just about cooked. Everybody behind him is on the fresh ones, and Jesper Orman had a terrible pit stop. He was 13.2 seconds in the box. Jesper Orman fell back to 10th for your one-time leader. A tough break for Jesper. I know that he was really looking forward to this track. You've got 3 Power Slide cars, then an Indy Alliance, then a Fiercely Ford, then an Indy Alliance, then a Votive Racing League, a Luke Mansky car behind him, and then Jesper Orman in 10th. But all eyes are on this man right here, Logan Edwards, 21 laps on the current tires. He's going to have to be real careful here, Jacob.
Yeah, definitely. He might have the easiest time getting up to speed on at least somewhat used tires that already have some grip in them, but they're also pretty used at the same time. He gets a solid launch here, though, off the start.
Green flag, green flag.
Yes, it does. The real problem for Logan Edwards is going to come down here when he has to lift off to go through turns 1 and 2. There's just going to be not much grip. Here he goes. He may be able to maintain the lead, I think, for this lap, just because of everybody getting up to speed. But you're going to see the power slide cars and Seb Alexander be all over him like bears pouring all over a honey tree. And here we go. Adam Blocker is going to move to the high side. Malechka is going to go to the bottom. They're going to split him. And now you've got to be careful if you're behind Logan Edwards. He gets a taste of that dirty air. Adam Blocker moves to the bottom, and that'll suck Seb Alexander and Phil Kraus immediately past. And so that at least has split up the power slide cars with Seb Alexander in the middle. And you've got Sadiq and Rashad Craig. If Rashad Craig winds up with a top 5 out of all this, that would be that would be a championship drive. That's the drive from a champion right there. Alexander underneath. Malechka is going to go 3 wide with Kraus, who passed both of them.
Well, now there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for anybody up here at the front.
No, there isn't. And Paula, if you thought they were duking it out earlier, you ain't seen nothing yet. With what essentially amounts to a 25-lap run, they can push these tires as absolutely as hard as they want to go, because 25 laps is about what these setups are good for before they start to fall off. And so you're about to see the rough side hang. They're going to go 3 wide into turns number 1 and 2. Clindy rips off the fastest lap of the race, and he's got to be frustrated, Jacob. He knows he has a good hot rod. And here comes Rashad Craig on the outside of Nick Sadiq.
And let's not forget, Rashad went on to win that championship last season without winning a single race. So it's been him slowly kind of working his way to the front of these fields and being roughly in contention at the end. That's kind of put him at the top of the pylon.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that's the formula, right? If you want to win an official series, it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to come out and win every race, especially in a series like this, where it's 2 very different disciplines. You got to be able to race super speedways, short ovals, road courses, street courses, and we're seeing it. You know, Will Weiser is another one of those. Will is having a fantastic run in the 9th position, but you've got guys who are really good on ovals, and they're terrible at road courses. You're talking to one of those, Jacob. You've got guys who are really awesome at road racing, and they are not anywhere on an oval. There are several guys that come to mind with that space, right? And so, you know, if you can hang around and finish in the top 5, Rashad Craig takes contact from Nick Sadiq, and I believe that's front wing gone for Rashad Craig. We're going to have to go back and take a look at it. Rashad Craig already headed for the pit lane, or I thought he was headed for the pit lane, but the front wing is gone from the Indy Alliance number 14.
Gotta imagine he's going to try to hang on to that thing as long as he can.
You would.
Especially if these cars are going to remain as racy as they have been at the front.
You would. I mean, he's going to fall back, probably back past Miller and McCrelly here, so he'll be 13th. Whoa, spinner to the inside. It's J.W. Miller. All the way across the grass. Do we get a caution? That was contact with Rashad Craig. Do we get a caution? We do not. Race on.
Location, location, location. You keep it out of the racing surface, and iRacing doesn't seem to like to call those.
Now, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be Jesper Orman has pulled up now onto the rear of Robert Malechka. They are going to have to do something to split this power slide trio apart. As long as they can continue to kind of fly in formation like that, Jacob, it is going to be next to impossible to make a move for the lead here. As Alexander, he's going to go 3 wide on Phil Kraus. Move Kraus to the middle. Here comes Jesper Orman.
Yeah, it was basically as soon as you started talking about it, it looked like they were going to have something to slice them apart there, and they just managed to slice themselves back together. So it's a 3-on-2 situation seemingly at this point at the front of the field.
It is. You had Rashad Craig coming into that battle. But look, as soon as Seb Alexander gets to the bottom of, they can get past Rob, but then the front two just kind of box them in, and it's very nearly impossible to make the move because that'll allow Robert Malechka the third to have the cleaner on the top. It's very difficult to get that move completed here as the power slide cars continue to fly in formation. 10 laps to go at Texas. There's David Hinger. He is a lap machine coming to the top. Jacob, with 9 laps to go, would you bet against this front trio, or do you think there's going to be somebody that tries to break them apart here?
Well, you've got to imagine at this point, if they could keep their cars kind of playing the way they're playing nice, if you will, that they're going to stay up there. It's really Orman around.
Orman hard in the turn 2 wall, and that's going to bring out a caution. And everything changes once again, Jacob. Here's Jesper Orman. He is the blue and gold Rogue Racing entry right there. And Casey Povolonis, and that is some bad net code, Jacob.
Yeah, you really got to feel for Jesper with that one, too. He was running so good all night. And to have it go up in smoke basically instantly.
So there's Jesper Orman. He's got the Rogue Racing entry pointed back in the right direction, sans the rear wing. He's gonna have to make a pit stop. Clindy has come in and called it a night. Matt Hollybaugh is circulating, but 11 laps down. And Orman spins again, going through turns 1 and 2. He's trying to catch up so he doesn't lose a lap, Jacob.
Yeah, try to keep as many laps on him as he can.
But he's also doesn't have a rear wing, and I believe I can also see at least the right rear toe link is no longer there.
Yeah, it's likely night done. He's just trying to fight for anything he can at this point.
Yeah, he's going to want to keep it going. He'd probably be credited with 16th at this point, which would be one position of Hollybaugh. Hollybaugh is out there. He cannot gain any more positions. Matt Hollybaugh cannot. Clindy in that same boat. Clindy has now retired the car. Jesper Orman is going to stay out and continue to circulate. Meanwhile, split decisions for the pit lane. Ty Keela, Logan Edwards, Robin Glakis, Rashad Craig, Logan Edwards, Ella Spice, Will Weiser. They are all coming to get freshies. Adam Blocker, Phil Kraus, Robert Malechka, Seb Alexander, Nick Sudik, Casey Povolonis, J.W. Miller. They all stayed out.
Well, you imagine if you can not really lose any track position.
Oh, for sure. If you're one of the guys in the back, come on and get them. If you're one of the guys up front, you're going to have a restart here with 4 laps to go. Jacob, I mean, they're not really going to get that heated up in 4 laps. You're probably going to be okay. The car to watch is going to be Ty Keela. That's one of those Alliance cars, so we know it's got speed, and he is going to be on fresh tires. The problem for Ty is he's got a long way to go, and he's only going to have about 6 miles to get there.
Yeah, that's a tall order, especially here, right? You got probably even a lap off of that total because you got to get up to speed at some point.
And really, you're only going to have 3 laps to use those tires. We're watching Adam Blocker, Phil Kraus, Robert Malechka III. They are the power slide trio at the front of this deal. You got to think, really you're only going to have, you got 4 lap shootout. You're really only going to have 3 chances to use those new tires for Ty Keela. The good news for Ty is there he is. He does, you know what I don't see in front of Ty Keela here is he's burning fuel. I don't see any lapped cars.
Well, it'd be inside the last 10. They're getting sent to the rear if they're still out there, I believe is how that works.
Right, so he's not going to have to worry about lap machines. He's just got to pass 7 cars, so that'll be worth the price of admission. We'll keep an eye on Ty Keela, who is nominally worth the price of admission most of the time anyway, Jacob.
Yeah, most of the lap cars in IndyCar tend to play pretty nice, even if they're partway through the field, knowing full well that their time to make up any position is kind of short and sweet, if at all.
Yes, indeed. So here we come. Blocker, Kraus, Malechka, Alexander, Sudik, Povolonis, Miller do not have tires. Ty Keela on back. They're on the freshmans. We're about ready to find out who's got the fastest car in Texas and who's going to win. Jacob Collins, 10-gallon hat. Barney's got the green flag in his hand. It is a waving. Adam Blocker has his foot on the loud pedal, and away we go. 6 miles to decide it. Already Ty Keela looking to the top of J.W. Miller. The snake begins down the back. It is going to be awfully difficult, Jacob, to separate those power slide machines in front of Seb Alexander, Phil Kraus, Adam Blocker, wheel to wheel. Robert Malechka guards the high side. Sudik on the top side of Seb Alexander. Casey Povolonis, an interested observer in P5. What a great run for the P6. What a great run for the Cheese Van as they head down the back.
Yeah, we're starting to see people look higher and higher on the track. So we see Alexander shoot it almost 4 wide down the front stretch here.
Yeah, you're going to have to get, if you're Seb Alexander, you're going to have to get all the way up against the wall if you want to make this work. There's the view from Seb. He's got Sudik to the inside. He kind of touches the wall a little bit. You're going to have to get all the way to the top, Jacob, if you want to make this work. Here comes Seb. He's going to get a huge run as we come to get the white flag. He's going to get a huge run coming down the straightaway here. And now it's going to be, can he send it somewhere? White flag in the air. And here comes...
You know what? Ty Keela shot out of a cannon.
Well, he shot into the wall. He's going to be forgiven, but he got really loose coming off of turn number 2. He had a ton of weight jacker in it. I don't know if there was net code contact there, but it's going to be a power slide 1, 2, 3. Blocker, Kraus, Malechka. They're going to come across, take the flag. Seb Alexander, the best of the rest. And what a fine finish for the Votive Racing League machine of Casey Povolonis in 5th. How about that?
Certainly got interesting.
Yes, it most certainly did. Will Weiser, the Luke Mansky Racing Esports machine, he brings it home 6th. How about that, Jacob?
You know what? Sometimes it's all about being there at the end.
Yes, it most certainly is, and we're going to get dueling donuts here from Blocker and Kraus, maybe. No, just single donuts. And so there you have it. Adam Blocker is your winner tonight in Texas. In second, Phil Kraus, then Robert Malechka III, Seb Alexander, Casey Povolonis. They'll round out the top 5. Will Weiser, what a fine drive home in 6th. Nick Sudik, J.W. Miller, Logan Edwards, and Ty Keela. They're going to round out your top 10. In 11th, Christian McCrelly, Rashad Craig 12th, Robin Glakis 13th, Ella Spice, David Hinger, Jesper Orman, Matt Heibaugh. Tough break for Kyle Klimworth speeding on pit road. Caleb Brashear and Riley Thompson round out the top 20. In 21st, Marco Aurelio Brazil and Jason Brophy rounds out the field as Blocker is going to do some laps of the Legends track here, Jacob.
You know, it'd be a lot cooler if those Legends tracks actually saw some solid use. I think they've started picking them up recently in the Legends series, but it's nice to see somebody use them.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's see what we can't Let's see what we can't drum up here in terms of interviews. I don't see anybody. We'll give Rob and the boys just a little bit of time. There's Mr. Adam Blocker. Are we going to get Phil and Rob?
I'd imagine they got to be around here somewhere.
Let's go ahead and bring Adam in, just so he doesn't have to wait. Adam Blocker, you've got Murph, you got Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
So, are we going to get Phil, or are you the spokesman this evening?
For what?
Or are you the spokesman, or are Rob and Phil coming, or do you know?
Oh, they're both coming. Rob's here now. So.
Rob's here now. Do you mind if we do everybody together? I think that'd be kind of fun.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, let's do everybody together. We'll bring Robert Malechka III up here. Rob, you've got Murph, you've got Collins, you've got Adam Blocker as well. Kind of kick things off. You guys came really, really strong in the second half of the race. Was it changes you made on pit road, or was it just saving the car the first 2/3 of the run?
I was doing zero saving. I think all three of us or four of us went a different set of philosophies, and mine was really quick to begin with, but after 15-20 laps, it started to kill me. So, I think this is a really good test session for us. Just seeing what worked and what not, and obviously what Adam had seemed really good, especially long run. So, it was a good team effort for the boys. A good 1, 2, 3. I might have killed Jason unintentionally because I was trying to do some other things there, but nonetheless, it was a good race for us.
Yeah, it was. Adam, I have to ask you, what was it like getting through the field and then looking up and seeing Rob and Phil riding shotgun? What kind of feeling is that like?
Well, I missed qualifying because I had to reset my PC because I had a crash, iRacing crash, and then so I was at the back, and honestly, I made up 10 spots in the first 2 laps, so I wasn't really expecting to do that, but kind of felt like Connor Daly a little bit, but
you would know.
After that, I just was riding the whole first stint, and I saw a lot of people struggling toward the end of the first stint, and I felt like I still had good grip, and I was making really good fuel numbers. And then we had that long stint in the middle where everyone ran the full stint, and like Rob was saying, I had a little bit different setup to them, and I still had tires at the end of the stint, basically, and that's why it felt like Seb and I kind of just pulled away from everybody at the end of that stint, so that was interesting, but I was worried when we had the shorter runs near the end because I felt like, some of the other guys were fast on short run, but it turned out just having the track position at that point, nobody could really do much unless they got a huge run, but once we had a couple cars up there and we basically kind of blockaded the front, I mean, no one could really go anywhere because there was nowhere on the track to go, really.
Speaking of blockades, Phil, you were the outside car in the trio. You kind of let Rob run the rear guard. Did you think you had a chance to get by Adam, or was it pretty much the inside reigned supreme?
If I checked up a little bit, going to 3 on the last lap, like middle of the back maybe, but really I could never drop back far enough to build a run. That was probably my only chance, and I think I was half a car length behind at the line or so, but the main job for us was just to control the group behind and secure a 1, 2, 3 for the team.
There you go. Jacob, do you have anything you'd like to ask these 3 guys? It's pretty rare that you get all 3 of them in one spot, so ask away if you've got questions, my man.
Well, I think the biggest thing is how do you feel that kind of working together is the strongest way to kind of push to the front? Obviously, every driver has a bit of their own ego, but when you've got, team cars kind of up at the front of the field and you're able to control that race, how do you feel like the entire mindset kind of changes for you guys?
I mean, we've all raced together for so long now that most of us kind of know what each other's going to do, and just have good communication in a lot of different circumstances, especially like races that we do at like Auto Club in Michigan are good practice for that, because you have to work together to make things work, or even Indy. So I think, just running together and trusting each other, and like, cause at the end of the race, like Phil and Rob were communicating like how tight we're running each other and like what lanes we need to run, and so that allows basically kind of everybody to know where they need to position their car, so that I don't accidentally hit Phil on turn in, or Phil doesn't accidentally give Rob arrow wash, or doesn't accidentally give draft to somebody that he shouldn't. So just a lot of good communication and trust.
Yeah, and just to kind of add what Adam said there, on my end, just kind of communicating where the run's coming from, where P4, 5, and 6 are running, if they're going to have a run to dive low into one there or not, and yeah, just kind of trying to feed dirty air as much as we could there at the end.
Yeah, I'd say the best way to draw a real world parallel, the early 2010s when the tandem draft was a big thing in NASCAR and they had open radio, pretty much the same vibes.
I kind of miss that, Phil. I wish they would allow the drivers to communicate. I mean, I know why they don't anymore, but I think hey, if your team cars, why not, right? Why not let the team drivers communicate amongst themselves? What's the difference if they talk to themselves, or they call up to the spotter stand and the spotters talk and relay it, right? It's the same outcome. So I do thank each of you for joining us. Like I said, I think this is a first on P1. It's the first roundtable interview. Certainly it's the first 1, 2, 3 for any team. And I think it's also the first time that we've had all three of you together on the broadcast. And so thank you so much for making that possible. We'll start with Rob. You were the trailer, so you get the mic first. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Shout out to Jason for doing God's work there at the end. Us three and Jason, we worked. We spent a decent amount of time in the setup, and we all kind of went our own directions, right? And this was probably our biggest track that we were just under crap, to be fair. And I think we kind of figured out what finally works. So yeah, the hard work, I guess, kind of paid off for us.
We'll pass the mic to the mic to your Wisconsinite teammate Phil. Phil, before you go to the refrigerator and hand me a cold one, you get the opportunity to thank whomever you would like to give a shout out to.
I just got a 30 rack yesterday, dude. You can't stop me from going. Come on, they're fresh. It's begging to be opened. But yeah, no, just to pair it off what Rob said, this has been a pretty big track we've strode at. If you remember back a few seasons ago, Power Slide cars were blowing right fronts, left, right, and center at this track.
Yes, they were.
But yeah, big shout out to Adam, Rob, and Jason. They put in a lot of work, and we've definitely improved a lot. I think we can still improve a little bit more, but we found a direction to chase at this track for sure, which is huge.
Very good, and that leaves us with Adam Blocker. Adam, go ahead, my man.
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all for supporting the series and looking forward to the rest of the season. Should be fun. The first two rounds have been pretty fun. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody at Power Slide. I think everybody's like, there was a bit of an update with the car, obviously, and I think everyone's going to get better as we go. So we're going to have to keep working, but definitely good to start off right, at least on the ovals. We definitely have some work to do at the road courses, as it showed a few days ago at Long Beach, but we'll get there. And yeah, just looking forward to the rest of the season.
Absolutely, boys. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you three in. Keep going fast and having fun, boys. We'll see you at the next one.
Yep.
Cheers.
That is Adam Blocker, Phil Kraus, and Robert Malechka. That was kind of cool, Jacob. We have not ever done that before, and hopefully we get a chance to do that again.
I have a feeling it won't be too long.
Very good. So do want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been the Monday Night IndyCar Top Split from the Texas Motor Speedway. If you want to click over to feed number 2, you've got Garrett Godso and LGN. They've got Lotus 79s, the Onyx Racing League at Watkins Glen with no chicanes. And then Jacob, you're going to have to do a quick turnaround because you're going to have the Indy Next Cars from Long Beach at 10. Tomorrow night, it is the flagship broadcast, the Indy Fixed Oval Top Split. That is going to come from the track Too Tough to Tame, Darlington, South Carolina. So that should be an interesting show. On Wednesday, the Horizon INDYCAR Series goes to the Kansas Speedway. That'll be 8 o'clock. Ryan Eric King and I will bring you that action. Thursday and Friday, check your listings for AMA action. I know there is one of those two races this evening, or this week, but I can't remember which one. That's because I'm old and forgetful in addition to being slow. And that will bring us, Jacob, right back to Sunday night, where we'll have the Votive Racing League, 8 o'clock. That will be, Jacob, help me out. Iowa. That's right. That'll be Iowa, and that series is 4 races remaining. There is one more race in the Dark Horse DW12 series. That is Indianapolis on October the 5th. For the Votive series, they've got Iowa, then Vegas, Milwaukee, and Indianapolis on November the 2nd. For everybody at P1, Mark Murphy, my friend and colleague Jacob Collins, our founder Gary Godso, we'd love to thank everybody who joined in and made this broadcast amazing fun. Thank you to all the fans, the people in the chat. Thank you so much. That makes it enjoyable. Thank you also to the people who really make it possible. Jacob, the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that are driving the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads the meat wagon when you get there. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. We will see you next week.